Hi, this is Shannon Gray with Gray Research Solutions, and today I'm going to show you how to take a list of zip codes and turn them into a list of cities and states. That way you can sort them and prioritize them and know where exactly your visitors are coming from. We have a list of zip codes here, and I also have a document that's called Free Zip Code Database. You can download this from Excel, or I can send it to you. On the first tab, we've got a list of all the zip codes in the U.S., their cities, states. There's a lot of other data associated here, including your longitude, latitude. The only thing we really care about are the zip codes, the cities, and the states. On the other tab here, I have a list of states in alphabetical order, which we'll use later to count them up. But first, I'll show you how to do this. For each zip code, you want a column of zip codes. And I have also a heading for city. We're going to use the VLOOKUP function. So that is equals VLOOKUP parenthesis. It's asking for the value. For this purpose, our value is this zip code that we want to look up. So we're going to click on this zip code. We put a comma. It's asking for the table array. And what that means is you choose from where you're looking to look up a zip code from, and that's this document here. We wanted to look up this zip code. So we want the table that to be in the left-hand side of the table. We want it to be able to look up cities and states, so we're going to pull over to the state, all the way to the state. Now, there's a lot of rows here, and it would take forever to drag this all the way down. So what we do instead is hit the shift key, hold down the shift key, hold down the control key at the same time, and then hit the down arrow. And that brings you all the way down to the bottom of this list. And now they've selected our table. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. We go back up here and put a comma. And the next thing in the formula is the column index number. This is kind of the confusing part. What they're asking for is, okay, you want us to look up this zip code and this table. We're going to look up the zip code in the furthest left part of the table, but which column should we return when we find the zip code? And in this case, we've chosen a table of 4 columns. So for city, we want them to return the column 3. That's 1, 2, 3. So we put in a 3 because we want them to pull up the third column. Then it's asking, do you want that to be an approximate match or an exact match? And we want an exact match. So we put in 0 for false. 0 in parenthesis return. That pulls up the city. So we know this zip code is in this city. And now we're looking for the state. So we actually can drag this over. And by the way, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing this where the plus is, this bottom right-hand corner of the cell, dragging it over. Choose that cell. Right now it says NA because we have to fix a couple things in here. Right now it's looking up B2 because we dragged it over so everything moves over a cell. We actually wanted to look up A2, the same thing as we did before. So we just changed this to an A. We also don't want it to return the third column. Now we're looking for state, so we want it to return the fourth column. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We change this number to 4, and then that's the state that pulls up. Now we have to look up the rest of the zip codes. We already have all of this stuff done, and there's already $signs in our table, which is what tells Excel to stick to those numbers. So we're going to take this plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner and drag it all the way down to the bottom of our list. Unfortunately, there's no shift control down arrow trick for this. You just have to kind of drag it down. So depending on how many zip codes you have, this might take a minute. But we have about 3,700 here, so we're almost there. There we go. We've got all our cities and states. So we can spot check this and see, okay, well, not everything came up. In some cases, visitors will key in the wrong zip code or have a missing digit, or this might correspond to, for instance, a zip code that's not really tracked, such as a U.S. military base. Things like that might have an effect on it. So, but we're looking for kind of the biggest numbers of cities that we can recognize. So go all the way back up to the beginning. Do the same thing with states. Wait for that plus there in the bottom right-hand corner and drag that all the way down to the bottom. Here we are. Okay, so we've got our list of states now, and we just kind of spot check it and say, yes, Anchorage is in Alaska, Spokane is in Washington. Yep, let's see. We recognize a lot of these in California, so it looks like it worked. Tucson, Arizona, perfect. Now we need to count up how many of each state we have. And here's where you go over to this list of alphabetized states. You can do this yourself. It's just easier to have it already written and then copy it. Copy the whole list of state abbreviations here, and we're going to just paste that right next to it. Now we're going to use a different function in Excel. This is called the COUNTIF function. So I go equals COUNTIF. And so they want a range. Count if what range? Where are we looking? And that is this range of states here. Again, you have to drag it all the way down. And the further down you pull your little plus here down at the bottom, the faster it goes. All right, we've got our range. Now criteria. That's why we have our handy dandy list of states here, because you can just comma, select, in parenthesis, and return. Now there's 12 zip codes in here that belong in Alabama. Now, in order to pull this down, we need to make the table stick, because as with Excel, if you drag it down, it will move down the whole table. So eventually we'll run out of these. So what you want to do is make the table stick by using the dollar signs. You put a dollar sign before the letter, a dollar sign before the first number, dollar sign before the letter, dollar sign before the first number, and return. Since we selected this cell over here, it's going to, when we drag down, like we did before, it's going to populate, if you can see. So that's looking for E3, perfect. That's looking for Alaska. That's looking for E4, perfect. That's Arizona. So far, so good. Go ahead and drag this all the way down. And now we've got a number of how many people are from each state in our visitor database. So we got a lot of Texans in this particular database. Let's go ahead and sort and figure out how many, what's our top delivery. So you select all of these again, the states and the numbers, copy them, and then you're just going to right click and paste special down here to values. You just want to paste the values, otherwise it will pull the calculations that you just made. Paste those. Now these are the number of people in each state again. It's still selected, so to sort it, all you have to do is right click, go down to sort, all the way down to custom sort, and then this helps you sort those two rows. So over here, sort by, we want them to sort by column I. That's the number of people in each. Smallest to largest. No, let's do largest to smallest. That way we can see which one delivered the top. Which one was the top origin state. Hit OK. And it's going to sort and show you that your top state is Texas with over 2,000 visitors coming from Texas. Then Oklahoma, 113. Louisiana, 90. If you want percentages, what you can do is go down here and go equals sum. Add all of the numbers up that we know the zip codes for, and that's 3,628 in this list that we know the zip codes for. And so then we go over here next to it, equals, choose the number, divided by, so we're finding a percentage by dividing each of these by the totals here. If we want to make it stick, we use the dollar signs. So one before the letter, one before the number, and hit return. So that's 62% coming from Texas. We can change this up here just by the percentage, and that will show us the percentage numbers. And then we can just drag, now that we've done the dollar signs and made the total stick, we can drag this down and see what percentage from each state are our visitors coming from. 62% Texas, that's very strong in Texas, and then the next one is 3% at Oklahoma, so you can see how those go on down the line. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. You can email me at Shannon, SHANNON, at grayresearchsolutions.com, GRAY Research Solutions.